Hello everybody, it's Wyvern here with another bit of Total War, Warhammer 2 Quick Match gameplay. This time around we are playing on the Emberglades as the Greenskins against the Dawi. And going into this match, well, the one thing I really wanted to try was the Squig Herd. It's a unit I don't really try very often. I've recently been going through and testing units that are just not used very often, or I feel might be a little underpowered, and I wanted to try Squig Herd because I never try them. I kind of assume they're just bad, and the stats don't really suggest that they're a very good unit, but I figured, you know, maybe I'm misjudging them. They are, after all, only 500 gold cost. They do have a fairly hefty anti-infantry bonus of 11 on top of 26 melee attack. They do quite a bit of damage. They've got AP. They chomp through enemies pretty well. 50 armor. Fairly cheap, so yeah, I figured might as well give them a shot. So we've got a Squig-oriented build. Now, obviously against Dawi, one of the big problems is gyrocopters. Greenskins only have one flyer that they can bring, a lord or a warlord or Azag mounted on a wyvern. So gyrocopters, you can't really chase them in the air. And shooting them down sucks because your archers blow. So I figured, you know, let's try Doom Divers. So we got two Doom Divers here. 4 units of Squigs to break my opponent's line, to act as disruption and extra AP chompiness. And then sort of the main killing powers in the back here. We got Azag on foot. He does have AP. He's got poison with his spider banner, which is definitely nifty. We do have Soul Blight to debuff enemy armor, reduce weapon strength as well, especially if you're fighting Slayers or something. Get on with it to keep that leadership up, because orcs suck in leadership department. Wah, Foe Seeker, and a purple Son of Zebrus, obviously to just break my opponent's backline if possible, or if he blobs. And of course Light Leeching for those extra wounds magic. Our main killiness here, Crimson Killers, as well as 2 units of Black Orcs, definitely very potent force, especially when wad up. They can definitely mulch through most Dwarven units. Iron Breakers can give them a bit of an issue, but everything else they should win out against. On the flanks, the Warlords, Boys, and Skulkers on one end, the 8-Peak Loonies, and the Nasty Skulkers on the other. Finally, the Regiment for now, Squig Hoppers in the middle, the good old Durkit Squigs. Now, my opponent here, interestingly enough, brought neither Gyrocopters nor Artillery, actually looking to sort of slug it out in close quarters with me, and shoot it out mostly. I guess it was sort of like an offensive DACA build. And you can see already our Doom Divers are coming in against the artillery, or the shooting, the Quarrelers here who were exposed and visible. But unfortunately, our Sailing Goblins not having the best of luck, though we did manage to clip those Dwarf Warriors there. Looking at my opponent's build, though, he does have a Lord for the center here, fairly cheap and efficient Lord choice. Not much going for him, but he can just hold forever. He's got Star Metal Plate, which debuffs melee attack, definitely a nice little perk. There's also a Runesmith mixed in here somewhere, who does have the Rune of Wrath and Ruin for control. Frontline is a mix of Longbeards as well as Dwarf Warriors, so they can hold fairly well, and they are backed by a horde of DACA. So there's Rangers who are already rampaging my Squigs, there's Quarrelers, Rangers with great weapons, whole bunch of annoying stuff. The Ulthar's Rangers, of course, who can debuff your units and make them more vulnerable. And finally, some Slayers. You got Dragonbacks in the back, we got the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass, and we got normal Slayers, all defending the backline. So that's definitely rough stuff. And a unit of Longbeards that kind of got forgotten out there. Now, unfortunately, my Squigs here did get rampaged because I just wasn't paying good enough attention. And they're basically going to rout before they even make it into combat. So yeah, Squigs, so far, they've not impressed. Yeah, I don't know what to say. That Rampage is a big killer on them, because they do have fairly low HP, and they rampage fairly easily. That said, we are now sweeping in from all flanks, looking to get in on my opponent. You can see our Squig mob is closing the distance, and in the meantime, the Doom Divers doing some work. These Quarrelers down to 30 models, which is a huge drop. That's 50% of their weapon strength already down, or their firing strength already down. The Squig Herd are going to dive in here. Unfortunately, my opponent is braced, and these guys do have charge defense against large. This is definitely going to be rough, but despite that, with their bonus, Squigs are definitely going to do okay. Azag's coming in there. And yeah, we're about to mince through those boys. Meantime, on the flanks, Nasty Skulkers looking to get in on these juicy bits on the inside. You can see the Squig Herds as well, the Durkit Squigs. And the constant stream of artillery is definitely doing some work. Wall goes down, and we are melting these bad boys. Soul Blight goes down, just debuffing everything in the pocket here. It's just getting destroyed. The Crimson Killers, of course, while being debuffed by Marked by Ulthar, just stupid good unit. Able to mulch through these Longbeards like a hot knife through butter. And now we are just swarming. You can see whatever my opponent's units route, so these Quarrelers broken by artillery fire, we're able to swoop in with our Skulkers and pick them off. And similar things happening elsewhere over here. The Dragonfire Pass Warriors getting chopped to bits by Skulkers. They had been softened by artillery earlier. We are able to rout off these Rangers with Great Weapons, which is huge. Rangers with Great Weapons right now are one of the most critical units for me to break, because if my opponent keeps the Ulthar's Raiders and these Rangers alive, I will probably lose. They'll be able to dice up my Crimson Killers, and nothing else here will really be able to dent his decent mid-tier infantry. So you can see over here we are going to summon a Purple Sun of Zerus, trying to decimate this backline a little bit. It does melt through the Rangers, doing some okay work. Kill some Slayers. Wanders around, meandering into my own line, which is delightful. Does some friendly fire there on the Crimson Killers, but fortunately not too much before we plow through into the Quarrelers and start eating them for breakfast. His African Force is in there as well, applying that poison debuff, which is very nice. It's going to slow these guys down, make them more vulnerable. You can see that rain of Quarrelers coming in. Quarrelers coming in from the Quarrelers, and we were able to route the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass, overwhelm them. Skulker's actually a very good cleanup unit because they're much quicker than Dwarfs, and they do quite a bit of damage. So, and there's a lot of them, so they're able to mop up these units very, very quickly. And in the meantime, this second unit of Skulkers here pursuing these boys off the field. That's going to give me a huge edge in this match. Over here, the Blackrooks in the meantime are trying to get in and help the Goblins, the Warlords boys, as well as these Squigs, and deal with these Longbeards. But unfortunately, Longbeards is definitely holding their own okay. Here in the pits, in the meantime, the Crimson Killers kind of overwhelming, getting in on the Ulthar's Raiders. Squig's able to chomp down these Quarrelers. In the meantime, the Doom Divers continue their reign of terror, decimating these Quarrelers from safe distance, really laying the hurt down on them. And we still have some very healthy units. We still got these very healthy Blackrooks. Of course, the AP Clooney is unbreakable, so they're going to keep fighting to the bitter end. But unfortunately, my opponent definitely keeping his cool and focusing my Crimson Killers down, using what's left of the Ulthar's Raiders to chop them up. And of course, Slayers are going to dive in now, and Slayers are going to bog me down. Slayers are unbreakable, just a pain in the rear. A Rune of Wrath and Rune goes down as well, so the Blackrooks, the poor Crimson Killers, are having a terrible time of it. And things are definitely, despite the fact that this balance of power is very much in my favor right now, I actually didn't think it was that favorable. A lot of it's also wrapped up in the Doom Divers, so while the Doom Divers are doing great, if my opponent is able to crack this army, and he's still got some decent health unit of Slayers running around, or some decent health Longbeards, it's going to be a game. I'm not going to be able to win. So definitely that's something I have to be wary of. You can see over here, we actually did use our Loonies to disrupt these Quarrelers. Did some damage there. We were able to finally break these Longbeards, which took a really long time. In hindsight, probably Azag was a bit of a weak spot in that, because his lack of buffs to void up our truth melee attack definitely hurt. That said, we're able to overwhelm these Quarrelers, and now you can see we're just trying to pour past with our Quarrelers, getting all the Ulthar's Raiders, shut them down. And unfortunately, the Squig Herd is rampaging, so I can't control them, but they're certainly chopping. 39 kills, you know, it's not bad. Wall goes down, we're just going to give these boys the boost they need to close in on the Ulthar's Raiders. And now there's Nasty Skulkers coming in from the flank as well, so definitely a very good situation. Unfortunately, my Doom Divers continue firing away, and I really should have ordered the Doom Divers to focus something else, either those guys or over here, these Slayers and Longbeards, because I'm probably going to be friendly firing my own Blackrooks, and that's not what we want right now. This Blackrooks is like the last unit keeping me in this, in a serious manner. Dragonite Slayers are over here trying to save their Runesmith, who's getting chomped on by these Squig Riders, the Durkid Squigs. With Wah, especially, they've got some good stats, and he's only got 32 melee defense, which is very pitiful for a Dwarf. Dwarves usually have some better melee defense than that, but he's getting chomped on by those Squig Hoppers. Azag's coming in now to help. He's able to chop down some of those Dragonite Slayers. We can see this epic Greenskin Lord. I love the look of Azag with his big choppas. And he just is cutting down this Runesmith, making him fall on his butt, making him look sad. And now we got Squig Hoppers all over. But I do decide to focus on the Dragonite Slayers beforehand because I want them removed, because they're just a nuisance. Even one is a nuisance. Unfortunately, things are not looking so shiny elsewhere. Now, certainly, balance of power in my favor, that's obvious, but Blackrooks over here are getting whittled down. There's still a fairly healthy Lord here against not too many units, I guess, for me. And there's still some Slayers running around. You can see we're actually intercepting, so I figured my artillery is more important than the Squig Herd right now. And so I'm diving in here with the Squig Herd looking to chomp up these Slayers. Certainly, Squigs are not going to win. They're going to do horrible against Slayers, because Slayers will basically like almost one-shot these poor bastards. These poor to the Malazan feet. You can see that guy just got squashed. But my poor Squigs do rout there, so definitely a little unfortunate. But that does allow my Doom Divers to do some more damage. Or at least attempt to do some more damage. These Doom Divers over here firing into the back of these Longbeards, who are now engaged by the Crimson Killers, as well as some more Goblins. So we're able to break them, force the retreat there with our artillery. Unfortunately, my opponent here is able to sort of shut me down with Slayers, his last 10 models there. But my own batteries are firing on friendly targets, actually killing my own Doom Diver catapult. So what can you do? We tried. But now this last mob is sort of coming in to clean that up. And over here, not wanting to have Azag fight the enemy Lord, because Azag's not the best in melee. Certainly he's got poison, he's got AP, all that stuff, but only 36 defense and 70 armor, definitely not the greatest. We are just using our Squigs here to chomp on the Lord. At this point, it's going to be Pyrrhic victory for the Greenskins. Interestingly enough, I do think this game demonstrated just how having more value on the field, even if it's not necessarily the right value, can have a huge impact. My Doom Divers were basically swinging the weight of the balance of power of that game by a huge amount, just because they had some decent amounts of ammo and were still around. But as for the build, well, some of it was fun. Some of it, with the Squig Hoppers, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. On one hand, it was, or it's not the Squig Hoppers, the Squigs. On one hand, it was fun to see them munching on the Dwarves, see them bouncing around like balls of joyous feral insanity. But on the other hand, I just didn't feel that they really did that much for me. They did do some damage once they breached the front line, when they got on backline units, when they were able to sneak in on quarrelers, but they also rampaged prematurely, which was disgusting. Makes them very hard to control, because they've got classic rampage, and unlike a lot of other rampaging units, they just don't have either the HP or the armor to survive for a very long time. You've got 3,800 HP, which means your opponent does 900 damage. That's like one, if you get lucky or have one accurate volley of quarrelers, that's basically it. That'll rampage your Squigs. Two good volleys, it's basically guaranteed to rampage your Squigs. And that's tough. They are only 500 gold, but losing 500 gold like that is still tough. In comparison to Skulkers, yeah, sure, their leadership's potato, but you can control them the whole time, and they are quick enough to run down dwarf units, so you don't really need that much of that mobility. So I don't know. I would definitely rate them as a little subpar, perhaps a tiny bit overpriced. Though perhaps 450 would make them a little too spammable. I do think they should be in like a similar category to cold ones, though, feral cold ones. And perhaps that will be worth checking right after we go over whatever else happened here. The Doom Divers performed amazingly well. Now, certainly my opponent had no artillery to counter battery me, so that was very helpful this game. But despite that, Doom Divers are not bad against dwarves. They can definitely ship down elite units. A good counter to Iron Breakers. Very good at decimating those elite troops. You did see 130 kills easily paying for himself, just destroying those quarrelers. The Rangers with great weapons, the Warriors with Dragonfire Pass, easily paying for themselves. Doom Divers are expensive, but not that expensive. 900 gold just isn't that bad. Besides that, Black Orcs paid their dues. Azag, I think, was a mistake. I probably would have been better off with basically a Night Goblin Shaman, I think, and gotten some extra units on the field. Now for my opponent, yeah, I don't think it's a bad build. I think there's not enough AP. Obviously, my build only brought 3 Black Orcs, but you will see quite a few Orc builds that'll bring Boar Chariots and multiple Black Orcs. Like sometimes, especially in Quick Match, where there's no unit or limited unit limits, you might see like 6 Black Orcs. This build is going to get trashed by 6 Black Orcs, I'm sorry to say. Even if your opponent doesn't play particularly well, you simply do not have the AP staying power. You're going to run out of ammo on your great weapons, and Quarrelers are not going to cut it. Neither is the rest of this. And your opponent will still have enough tools to swarm you from all sides. In this situation, it was almost optimal because he had Squigs to shoot at, Squig Hoppers to shoot at, Goblins, that sort of thing. Only 3 Black Orcs, really. So, just my opinion there. But something I would watch out for is definitely would be that you just don't have enough AP. Thunders are probably a better option. Regardless, well played to Furiosa, though. Let's hop. It definitely was a fun and sort of tense game, and it was cool to see how certain stuff works out, especially Doom Divers. But I did quickly want to hop on over to the custom lobby and check out Cold One, because perhaps I'm overstating, but I do believe the Cold Ones are in a better spot. I think they're much more viable as a unit. And they're actually cheaper. They only cost 450. So if we compare, now certainly they got a lot less HP, but if we compare a lot less HP, now both units rampage. Cold Ones actually cause fear, which Squigs do not. The immune psychology on the units is not really worth that much because both units have pretty bad leadership, so they're going to rout easy, and obviously these feral Cold Ones are immune to fear because they've caused fear. Yeah, I guess Cold Ones hit harder. There's less of them. I don't know. I think the main difference is that the mobility on the Squigger is just so much worse. You've only got 58 speed as opposed to 70, which makes it much more difficult to get that ideal engagement. Perhaps with their obviously they've got a bonus versus infantry, and perhaps with their higher HP pool, CA is kind of figuring they are worth more. But I don't know. I feel like the unit either needs a buff somewhere. Just a slight tweak could be enough. Maybe a little more HP per model even would be enough. Just bump them up if there's 30 models. So if you give them like 4 more HP per model, maybe, or like 5 or something. It would put them in a better spot. Just something to make them a little more viable. I don't think they're a terrible unit. I definitely think they're more viable than I thought before, but they are just very, very flimsy and not that cheap, especially for a unit that routes so easily and the rampages very easily. Regardless, I do hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you had fun watching the Green Tide. If you did, you should leave a like, subscribe, and share. If you have any comments, any criticism, any questions, any requests, don't hesitate to post them. I'll be sure to respond as soon as I can. I do thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye for now.